Welcome to the History of LA Ska one-on-one sessions. I'm Junor Francis, your host, alongside our distinguished and eminent producer and good friend, Eric Kohler. Now, this series celebrates and aims to preserve and promote the ska, rocksteady, and vintage reggae scene in Southern California and beyond through insightful conversations with legends and modern-day talent, including those behind the scene. So, whether you listen to us, whether you listen to this podcast series or watch us on YouTube, many thanks for your support, and thanks to all the supporters worldwide. In this series, we welcome a true visionary, Don Lett. He's a filmmaker, radio host, selector, musician, author, cultural commentator, music historian, and fashionista. The man wears so many hats. Jeez. Big respect, Don. How's everything, sir?
Yes, welcome, Don.
Well, everything was cool until I realized the brief is about promoting ska in Los Angeles, because I don't know nothing about ska in Los Angeles, other than a couple of man named like Agrolites and things like that.
Yes. Well, don't let that name fool you, because we have guests on who have go way back to the Carlos Malcolms and Derek Morgans, interviewed Linville Golden and Rhoda Dakar. So we run the gamut. You've obviously contributed so much to the music. So we're happy to have you. Thank you.
All right. I'll try and do my best.
Yes.
And your best will be good enough.
Absolutely. More than good enough.
Why don't you roll out with
yes.
first question?
So Don, your biography, which I read not too long ago, There and Black Again, came out last year. And obviously your Rebel Dread documentary will be released in the US this coming week, and we're really excited to have you here in Los Angeles. Why did you decide that now is the time for the world to know more about Don Lett?
I didn't. Somebody else did. I thought they were crazy. I mean, basically, the producer of the film, a gentleman called Phil Hunt, who I knew as a Clash fan way back in the day, he used to be snapping still pictures, is now evolved into kind of one of the #1 producers on the planet. And he happens to he liked the Clash, he loved Big Audio Dynamite.
Okay.
And obviously he didn't mind me as well. And it was his idea to really put this thing into motion. I thought the guy was crazy. I ain't gonna lie. I thought the dude was crazy. I think, I might make an interesting dinner guest, but I'm not so sure I justify a cinema screen.
Wow. Wonderful. Brilliant idea. We all think you do.
Yes.
Well, respect Phil.
Yes.
It's his idea.
It's okay to be modest. It's okay, man.
No, it's the truth, man. I don't understand what the fuss is about. I'm just doing my thing.
Which is a hell of a lot of things, boss.
You know what's funny, though? You mentioned the book, There and Black Again, and obviously the film has just come out. And what I've come to realize is it struck a chord with a lot of people. It seems to have connected with X amount of people. And that's given my work meaning.
Sure.
You get me? My work was so I got to own that. You know what I mean? So through the process of the book and the film, I've come to understand that, I've been lucky enough to be part of this ongoing dynamic that we're all into.
Right. Absolutely. And then speaking of the film, you just came from New York, where there was a special screening. And the anticipation is building for this coming Tuesday, the 1st, for the Grammy Museum event, and a special after party. But what's been the most surprising response? And you touched on this a little bit, but what's the most surprising response from fans about this documentary? What has surprised you?
The most surprising response? The fact that they bloody like it. Like I told you, man, in the posters they got, what is it, legendary, this and all this stuff. I don't get it. Again, because of the film and the book, I've had to look at what's all the fuss about. And I've come to the conclusion that my only discernible talent is that I seem to have good taste. But in the 21st century, that's some serious Ross Clark currency.
100% it is. You've had great taste.
Apparently,
great taste throughout your entire life.
That's the way I'm looking at it, because I still don't get it. As far as I'm concerned, I'm a work in progress, man.
That's good. That's a good way to look at it, boss.
It's true.
Yeah, man, good way. So tell us about growing up your experience growing up in England. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and from what I've read, your parents were part of the Windrush, and so your
Yeah, they came
first,
over.
first
Yeah,
generation
in
Jamaican.
the 50s. You know, they brought their hopes, their dreams, and their precious record collections.
Yes, sir.
And funny that, you know, my parent generation, what they did to try and assimilate was anglicize themselves, you know, kind of deny their culture. But ironically, it was their culture that would captivate the imagination of my white friends. We're talking about the music. And back then it was rocksteady, ska, and, you know, Prince Buster, Toots and the Maytals, stuff like that. And also the style. Because in England, for the working class, you know, the way they communicate with each other is through music and style. And when the Jamaicans came over, we had shed loads of that. You dig what I'm saying? So that's what really captured the youth on the streets and in the classroom and on the playgrounds. And that's how we became friends, really, is through our mutual love of Jamaican music and style.
Right. And you grew up in a musical family. Your parents or your father generally play any music?
Well, you know, in Jamaica, everybody plays music. I mean, even if it's a grandma or something, everybody partakes in the process. And another thing I have to tell people is, you know, for people of color, music isn't something that just the kids do. Your parents are listening, grandparents are listening, the kids are listening. It's part of our culture. So much so that, you know, when I was growing up in England and the dad's playing Toots and Prince Buster and some Jim Reeves as well. Enough. You know what I mean? I took it for granted. I didn't really think anything. It was just there. But then my white mate started digging it. And I'm like, rotted, you know, yeah, we got something here, you know. And then that's when I start to appreciate what we had and what we brought to the table.
So where exactly in Jamaica your parents call home? What parish?
Well, they're both gone now, but they're both from St. Elizabeth.
St. Elizabeth, right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but they're gone now. They're gone.
Yeah, I kind of guess that.
I was born in London, 1956. In fact, I didn't go back to Jamaica until 1978 with Johnny Rotten. It's the first time I went back to Jamaica.
What a pilgrimage that was. That's when you met some people like the chanting.
Boy, listen, brethren, here it is.
Yeah.
We went with this brethren named Richard Branson, right?
Yeah, man.
He had
the rich man.
a record company called Virgin.
Right.
And he goes to Jamaica. It's beginning of 1978. It's me, him, and Johnny Rotten. And the word goes around the
island. What a trio.
Right? Dig it. The word goes around the island. Rich white man signing up reggae artists. Imagine what happened. Here it is. Over the next 2 weeks, everybody except Bob Marley, Burning Spear, Bonnie Wailer, and Peter Tosh, everybody except those four came to the hotel to get some of the white man money.
Wow.
I'm talking about, I'm sitting there, right? And there's Big Youths, Iroy, Uroy, Abyssinians, Tapazuki, you know, all these names that we'd only previously seen on record labels. They were sitting all around me, every rascal out there. You know, the Meditations, the Congos, trying to get some of Richard Branson's money, effectively, try and get a deal. But hear this. From that whole thing came, what is it, the label? Frontline, right? Launched that label, Frontline. And if you dig it, it's a great collection, a great catalog of music.
Yes, man.
You know,
Wow.
But that trip is the most amazing trip of my entire life. Malice in Ganjaland.
You probably will never be in a place where so many legends are congregated.
I tell you what, I don't think anybody's ever been in a situation like that. Anybody.
Right.
You know, it would be like going to, I don't know, Tamala Motown and sitting in the room and every single Motown group was around you. I doubt if that happened very often. Yeah. It was a trip. It was, I can't begin to tell you, man.
I mean, the footage that is available online, right? That obviously that you shot is pretty incredible. I mean, you know, I watched that again just the other day, so I'm sure you'll forever cherish that. And that those are some great stories. And Don, so you're rightfully known as the key link between punk and reggae.
All right. I'm going to give you a perspective on this because I don't need to take extra shit. I've done all of it. I've proved myself a million times. This is the reality, right? Because the way the press has it, Don Letts turned on a generation of punks onto reggae. Kind of true, not really fully true, because before Don Letts, there was Trojan Records, launched in 1968, the same year that brethren, Enoch Powell made the Rivers of Blood speech. So while he's freaking out the own white people with his poisonous politics, it was the music of Trojan Records that was uniting the youths on the street. And that was the soundtrack of the country's first multicultural subculture, skinheads. And I'm talking now about the fashion version, not the fascist version that came along in the early 70s. You dig what I'm saying? So it's really Trojan Records that sowed the seeds of the UK's love affair with Jamaican music. I just came along a bit later on, because before Don Letts was playing reggae in the Roxy, I mean, people like Johnny Rotten and Joe Strummer and Paul Simonon and Terry Hall, they knew about the Trojan shit. The people I hit to reggae were all the white people that didn't interact with black people in the late 70s. And in the late 70s, that was a whole heap of white people, trust me. We're talking about all the people in the suburbs. They're the ones that I hit to reggae music. And I guess, I turned Paul and John onto kind of dub stuff they would have normally heard. But I can't claim responsibility for that whole thing. I was part of an ongoing dynamic.
Sure. No, totally get it. And what are the biggest similarities in punk and reggae?
Well, musically, fuck all. But I mean, in attitude and spirit, we're like-minded rebels. I mean, people often ask me, what came out of the punky reggae thing? What did the punks get out of reggae? And it's obvious. What they got out of reggae was the bass lines. Obviously, if you listen to the Clash or the Slits or Public Image, you can hear that shit. When you listen to Clash lyrics, you can hear John the drummer singing about Prince Farai and Dr. Alamantado and things like that. They obviously like the anti-establishment vibe. They like the fact that the music had what do we call it? The kind of musical reportage quality. The brethren were singing about shit you could relate to. Money in my pocket. I need a roof over my head. And I'll tell you another thing, the punks didn't mind the weed either.
That's a good one.
But hear this, you know what else is, but on the flip side of that now, you have to ask yourself, what did reggae get out of that whole thing, right? And I'll tell you what reggae got out of it was exposure. Because once the brethren and the sisterins got that exposure, we could do the rest. And we've been doing it ever since.
Great point. Yes.
And what is the state of the punk movement now in England? It still exists?
But
I was passing through the state of the punk movement. I know I was passing through London when it was at its adolescent stages. I was surprised to see, blacks and young youths, black and white youths mix up.
The legacy of the whole punk thing, because people keep thinking, it's that mohawks and the guitars and blah blah blah. That wasn't what it was about, really. The smart people understood it was a spirit and an attitude that could inform whatever you did. I mean, if you look at something like the whole two-tone movement, that's a product of that punky reggae combination.
Absolutely.
And then, people started to just be more adventurous in the things that they did. That's what it was about. So for me, the legacy is all around me. I mean, even the creation of something like grime in the new millennium has a punk mentality to it. The whole DIY stuff, definitely. And using what you got to get what you need. That's definitely a punk rock attitude and punk rock spirit. It ain't about guitars and mohawks. Even the creation of reggae was a punk rock moment. Brothers them couldn't do all the fancy Eric Clapton things, right? But they could hold down a few chords and skank on the guitar. Same on the keyboard. And they turned what would be perceived as a technical problem into an asset.
There you go.
Man couldn't sing, him start chat. Crack. You know what I mean? That's punk rock.
That's true.
Same thing in hip hop.
And hip hop, right.
Hip hop is black punk rock. 2 turntables and a microphone. Using what you got to get what you need. punk rock brethren.
Yes,
Wow.
very well said.
Extremely, man. So tell us about your interaction with Bob Marley. Not very many people have had the opportunity, especially when you did as a youngster, to interact with Bob Marley, who went on to become the king of reggae.
Yeah, but you know what? This fucking story, I've told this story so many times, man.
I don't always.
All right. Jesus, how we do this? All right, yeah, I was lucky enough to meet Bob, but you didn't have to meet Bob. Oh, you know what's most important? That you get to hear Bob's music. Luckily, I did get to meet the brethren. He came to London, he played at the Lyceum, a legendary gig.
Yeah.
And I went there, I was just in the audience, and I was so buzzed by what I saw on stage that after the gig, I got in my car and I followed his coach back to the hotel. And I kind of hustled my way into the hotel room with the musicians and the rest of the UK Rasta elders that come to pay respect. So we're in his living room and Bob's sitting in the middle at a table and he's smoking everybody's weed and he's reasoning with all the rest of them. And it comes to like 3 o'clock in the morning and out reason and out smoke everybody, finish everybody weed. He sees me sitting in the corner, right? And I had a little bag of herbs and he called me to the table and Bob proceeded to finish my herb. But here it is. My weed was Thai stick. And back in those days, that was the lick.
Yeah.
And because it was good and he was impressed, when he came back to London in 1977, after he'd been shot in Jamaica, right? He was living round the corner from my shop on the King's Road, Chelsea.
Oh, wow.
As luck would have it.
As luck would have it. And he would come and check me because I would take care of him. Now, listen, if you read the press, it said, Don Letts, friend of Bob Marley. Here, the reality is I was an acquaintance of Bob Marley. He had lots of acquaintances because I was not the only person taking care of him. You dig what I'm saying? I mean, I think the only difference between the rest of the brethren and me was that I was digging the punk rock thing. Because here it is, the last time I saw Bob, we had an argument. Because I went round to his place and I was wearing bondage trousers, like punk rock style, right?
Right.
And Bob's see me in these trousers. And in those days, the tabloid press had been painting a very negative idea of what punk was about. They were saying it was nihilistic and negative and all this bullshit. And it was never about that, man. It was about empowerment and freedom and individuality. But that's what Bob got. He got this very negative idea of the whole thing. So he sees me wearing the punk rock trousers and he's like, Don Letts, where I deal with you, look like one of them nasty blood clot punk rocker. And I'm like, hold on a minute, Bob. You're talking about my friends. And remember, I was like 18, 19, so it was a big deal for me to stand my ground and disagree with him.
Sure.
I'm saying, no, Bob, you got it wrong. They were white, they were like-minded rebels. And to be honest, Bob, if you listen, there's something going on there. And it basically told me to get the fuck out of there. And I left with my tail between my legs. But check it. 3 months later, a better informed Bob Marley was moved to write what song?
Punky Reggae Party. Well,
Chapter.
the same thing.
Chapter.
And you know the same thing. Wow.
So, but mission accomplished there. I mean,
There you go.
Yeah. And listen, I got to tell you again, the way that story sounds, it sounds like I turned him on.
No. But
No, what happened was, in the 3 months between me and him having that discussion and him doing the song, he met certain people like Chris Salovich, the journalist, and Vivian Goldman, and he kind of got to understand what was going on.
Yeah.
And then did it.
Yeah.
So in that 3 months, were you interacting with him?
How do you mean?
Still, interacting.
No, that conversation was the last time I spoke to Bob. Funny enough.
Oh.
I think the next time I saw him is when I went to see, when he was doing the Crystal Palace gig.
Mm.
When he was playing by the water and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But effectively, the last time I spoke to Bob, we had an argument about punk rock.
Right.
I stood.
You did. So talking about the intersection of punk and reggae, the Clash. You were videographer for the Clash, but talk about how did Mikey Dread link with the Clash?
Well, the way I remember is that I got some tapes of Mikey's Jamaican shows, Dread at the Controls,
Yeah.
wicked.
Right.
You know, apparently when he was in the radio in Jamaica, the crime rate went down. Anyway, somebody back in the day, you know, the tapes, for people sending tapes up to the UK dance hall tapes and all this kind of sound system tapes. And I got a 3-hour Mikey Dread show tape, and I gave one to Paul Simonon.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul was so buzzed by it, he decided to look up Mikey.
Wow.
And then it was Paul that got him on board to do the album.
Okay.
But I think it started with me giving Paul a mixtape.
Yeah. Right.
Of Dread Controls.
Right. Can you share any Mikey Dread stories?
Why, Mikey? You're going back so far, man. Damn.
Sorry, Don.
I'm trying to think. You know, I remember doing the video for what is it? Bank Robber. And it's some nice shots. Obviously, Mikey's left us now, and there's some nice shots of Mikey at the controls in Bank Robber.
There is, right.
And there's another documentary I did called 2/7's Clash, where there's Mikey perform, because he performed on stage. People don't realize he didn't just do the production on singles and a lot of the production on Sandinista. He went out on the road with him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got some good Super 8 of him doing that. But no, Mikey was a cool bridget, a really cool bridget.
I mean, and he certainly added a pretty cool element, obviously, to
Absolutely, the dynamic, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if he had bad experience with them, because I did an interview with him just before he passed, and he was exceptionally angry with the Clash.
But what, money, right?
Well, usually.
Hey, you know, I don't know what to tell you about that. I really, everybody's angry about money sometimes. You know what I mean? Enough is never enough. Maybe it wasn't enough. I don't know.
Right, of course. Yeah. So speaking of the Clash,
all I know is when it was good, it was great.
There you go.
Right. Yes. True. Speaking of the Clash, let's talk about Mick Jones and how Big Audio Dynamite was formed, Don.
Yeah. What about it, man? Yeah.
How was it formed?
Well, as everybody knows, Mick got kicked out of his own band, and I actually introduced him to Leo Easy Kill Williams, currently the bass player of Dreadzone. And I said, Mick, stop moping around. Go and get something together, man. And then the thing I remember is that we were in a club, and Mick's standing between me and Leo. And he looks to his left and he looks to his right, and he says, we look like a group. And I'm like, yeah, we might look like one, but I can't play shit, Mick. You know what I mean? And he said, well, don't worry about that, Bridget, because when Paul Simonon joined the Clash, he couldn't play anything either. They had to put stickers on the Brethren's frets so he knew what to play.
Yeah.
Difference between Don Letts and Paul Simonon is Paul eventually got rid of the stickers on his fret. I never got rid of the stickers on my keyboard. To this day, I can't play shit. That's why when Big Audio Dynamite started, you know, we had a reputation for using samples and dialogue. I was taking stuff, TV and things from movies.
Yeah.
And that's because I needed to justify my space. You know, it's really important. In any situation, you justify your space. Otherwise, you are baggage. So I'm doing the whole sample and dialogue thing to kind of, justify my space. But then I quickly realized you don't get paid for stealing other people's shit.
Right.
And threw myself into writing lyrics with Mick's help. And the first lyric I ever wrote was equals MC squared. And then went on to co-write 50% of the songs with Mick. So that's my main contribution to the band. But I'm immensely proud of that whole thing because it was a combination of Jamaican bass lines, New York beats,
truly
groundbreaking, rock and roll guitar, and then me doing the whole sample and dialogue thing. And I'm really proud to have gotten to write songs of Mick Jones as well because the dude's special.
Yes.
The pain of but he is special.
I don't know if there was anything that sounded.
Oh no, can you bear with me 1 minute?
Yes.
Bear with me 1 second. I gotta get a drink, man.
Of course.
1 second. 1 second. I'm coming.
Suppose radio, you would
in conversation with Don Letts.
Freshman.
UK born and raised.
Rebel Dread.
Man who wears many, many hats. And by the way, he'll be in Los Angeles.
Yes, this coming Monday night.
Tuesday night.
Sorry, Tuesday night, November 1st. Grammy Museum.
Elegant and upscale Grammy Museum.
Downtown Los Angeles, right? Screening of a brand new documentary, Rebel Dread, followed by a Q&A, as well as an after party with...
You know, you got to tell the people the reason I'm a little fried is I've just flown in from New York and I've just arrived like an hour and a half ago, man.
Yeah. So we greatly appreciate
I'm one can short of a six-pack right now.
Well, we're gonna
up the wrong thing because I don't see any red on it that we can no stripe. I don't want to do commercial for red stripe.
Right, where were we?
Unless you have shares in red stripe.
No, we're talking about Big Iron Dynamite. But yeah, I don't know if there was anything that sounded quite like you guys did at that time. Truly unique.
Yeah, what you said.
Yeah. Junior,
no, it was undoubtedly unique, but I can't say that shit. You got to say it. Otherwise, I sound headed.
Yes, yes, sir. So I want to talk a little bit about your you directing over 30 music video. Wow.
Ross, 1 minute. Internet. Hold on. So hear this. The internet's a funny thing. Whenever people come up to me and say 400 videos, 400. That's a whole heap. In fact, it's about 350. You just brought it down to 30.
No, I drop off one of the zero.
That's funny. That's some funny shit.
3-0.
No, it's about 350 music videos.
350.
Yeah.
No, it's very dangerous to take information from
the internet.
Very very dangerous.
Yeah, you must check and double check.
Yeah, man, and triple check. So we have but that's an incredible number, though, man.
Truly impressive.
Really and truly. In addition, I think also you have movie directed quite a few movies.
Yeah, hold on,
1997.
Hold on. Rewind to the music video. We're doing a reggae thing, right?
Yeah, we're doing
again.
Let's talk about some of the videos.
All right. I was going to make it a two-part question, but you go. Let's do them. Make it a two-part question. Video and then the movie.
No, I mean, listen. No, the reason I'm bringing it up because I did something I'm really proud of. I mean, I did one for Linton Kwesi Johnson, where I went to Island Records and said, "Give me the money. We need to make a video for this brethren." And I did Great Insurrection.
Yes, man, that was early.
And also they did the same thing for Black Uhuru, the video for Solidarity.
Yeah.
They were doing the LP. They were doing the LP sleeve, and I'm like, look, these brethren look cool. Just give me some money, give me a couple of grand, and that's Solidarity. Yeah, the only music video with Sly and Robbie in the original lineup. But the one I'm most proud of is Pass the Dutchie.
Yes,
and that's
I'm really proud of it.
Such a great video.
Yeah, but it's cultural. The thing is, it was a big video, but it was culturally important, that video, because it kind of signposted the whole Black British thing that was a bit wishy-washy. You know, we were still struggling to work out who exactly we were and what Black British meant. And I think, you know, Past the Dutchie, the beginning of the 80s, was the beginning of that journey starting to mean something. But it didn't really come together till the end of the 80s with things like Jazzy B, Soul to Soul. But it was during that decade that Black and British really started to mean something. And I think the Pass the Dutchie thing was the start of that. So I'm really proud of that shit.
Yeah, I think for some reggae fans that was one of the tunes that introduced them to the music too.
And also, you know, you got to understand that for my parents' generation, Millie had a hit, 1960. Jesus Christ, what was it? 4, My Boy Lollipop. And I remember as a little youth, you know, I must have been about 5 or 6, but the sense of pride my parents had when that record got to #1, all the West Indians in England, it kind of said, you know, it gave them a sense of pride, and it kind of said, look, we're here, you know, we got something to bring. We got something to contribute. And then there was a big gap, really. I don't think nothing happened until Trojan launched in 1968. And that was another big step in pushing reggae into the English-British psyche. And then Pass the Dutchie in 1982 is when the Black British thing, because before then, you know, we're trying to be Jamaican, we're trying to be American, still haven't found our feet yet. But by 1982, okay, it's starting to make sense. You know, because don't forget, by 1982, Dennis Bavell had done the whole Lovers Rock thing.
Right.
And just before past the Duchy, you know, don't forget Aswad and Matumbi and Steel Pulse. So it's been building and building. You know what I mean?
Very true. Yes.
Let's talk about some of the movies, huh?
Yeah. So in '97, Dancehall Queen, correct?
My proudest moment.
Yeah.
As a black British youth, right, to get that love and respect,
right,
and blessing from the people of Jamaica. Come on,
wow.
You know what I mean? Because I tell you what, even though you know, Harder They Come is obviously Jamaica's best film. There's nothing ever going to touch it. But if you ask the youth them right now, it's Dancehall Queen. Only because Harder They Come is a much older movie.
Sure,
but
certainly,
Dancehall Queen is a total homage to Harder They Come. I mean, even in the movie when I get the brethren to do it, sit tight and listen keenly while I play you another brand new musical biscuit. You know, that's paying respects to a Harder They Come, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm really proud of that, and also really glad that the lead was a woman, because you know, between me going there with Johnny Rotten in '78, I'd been there several times doing videos for different bands, and it came to me that it was the women that were keeping the island together, man. You know, all the men wanted to be like Ivan in A Harder They Come, and it was the women that were holding the shit down. And I thought it was good to reflect that in a movie.
Yes. No,
so
agreed. Very important.
Perhaps another proud moment was in 2003, the One Love.
One Love, yeah. I mean, my brethren, Dancehall Queen was co-directed by a brethren called Rick Elgood.
Okay. I
was the front seat of Dancehall Queen. He was the front seat of One Love. And One Love's pretty, but Dancehall Queen's my film. No, sorry.
No, I get it.
You know, I mean, for me, I don't know. You know, no, it's weird. It's hard. I mean, yeah, the One Love thing felt like a bit old school to me. Beautiful tale and all that stuff, but yeah, it felt like a step backwards to me. Don't get me wrong, the film looks beautiful. Dancehall Queen is the link.
Is the link for you.
There we go. Right. Yes, encourage everyone out there. If you've not seen it, go out and find it.
If any of your listeners and viewers have any money, I'm ready to make another film. I've got a script right for Jamaica, I'm telling you. And well overdue. Come on, Dancehall Queen, 1997. And then my brethren Idris did, what was it?
If I have money.
Junior's he's gonna whip out his checkbook.
Yeah. What was that? What was the Idris film? What was that film? Yardy? What was that? Yeah. And I thought that was going to topple Dancehall Queen.
No.
Nah.
So who asked you to direct those films?
Well.
Oh, I didn't know he was behind it.
Oh yeah, no, it's an island thing. The idea for Chris was he wanted to start a Jamaican film business.
Yes,
like he started Island Records. And then he did what he did after Dancehall Queen. He did, what was it? Third World Cup.
Yes. Right.
But then shortly, not too long after that, he sold Island Records. But anyway, that was his intention. And you got to give the man props because you know other films have been made in Jamaica, and when the brethren are like doing the dialogue, they talk like in a language that no one understands. It's like this half English, half American. They were never true to what Jamaica was about, to the true Jamaican people. And CB said, look, if we do this film, it has to be Jamaican. You know what I mean? He insisted. And that was a big deal because in the box office world, that's problematic. But, you know, you have to remember, like when Japanese people make a film, they don't change their language. When Italian people do a film, they don't change their language.
Right.
Why should Jamaican people do that? I mean, I don't even like our language being called patois. I don't like it. Yes, it's a mixture of different languages, but what the fuck do you think English is?
Right. As Miss
No, really. English is a mixture of all of it, German, French, Italian, Viking.
There you go.
No, really.
Yeah.
No, yeah, man.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, Jamaican is a language bridge.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Nice. You're not joking.
Pigeon English shit.
So you're ready now for another movie?
I've been ready a long time. I'm serious. I've had a script sitting under my belt for like 10 years, Bridget.
Yeah, you should get back with a call. I think he lives out here somewhere in Los Angeles while you're in town. And also we give him credit for, Millie Sumal. She was the first one to take Jamaican music worldwide.
And then there's
4 million copies.
And then there's Suits. And then there's In a Circle. And then there's Grace Jones. No,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
Bunny Wailer.
Yeah.
I mean, Steel Pulse.
Right. Right.
And that's just his reggae shit. People don't even know about his white rock shit.
Everything.
Which is a whole. Anyway, let's talk about Don Letts.
Yeah.
So Don Letts. So you as a selector, as a DJ,
Yeah.
all around the world for many years. Is there a typical Don
But
Letts?
except America, because the work permit's too fucking expensive, man.
I know.
6 grand.
Although next year,
Eh?
hopefully we see you out here.
Really? Who's going to get my?
Hopefully.
I'm joking. Go on.
Is there a typical Don Letts set?
No.
Depends on your audience.
No. I read the crowd, but I'll tell you what, my set reflects the history and legacy of Jamaican music and that island's gift to the world, which is bass. And if you understand how it's informed popular music today, it's got a wide reach, brethren, trust me. So, I might be playing, I don't know, something from Chronics on Bounty Killer and things like that, right up to things from New Zealand, Croatia, French. Check out this French crew, OBF.
OBF.
Murder, killer sound system, OBF.
Okay.
Cha. And, obviously people know about Mighty Crown from time, but nowadays, there's OBF. There's one in Scotland. What are them? Mongo's Hi-Fi.
Oh,
Yes.
them worldwide.
They were just out here last week.
All right, check out these brethren, man. I'm telling you, they picked up that bass vibe and they're running with it.
Yes. Okay. We will do that.
No, it's funny that music of it's funny. Jamaica's a tiny little island, right? And we spent hundreds of years on the
colonization. It's a continent, but go ahead. You call it island.
Jamaica, a little island. It's a little island in the sun, and it spent hundreds of years under colonization. But check it, in the 21st century, it's kind of culturally colonized the whole fucking planet, brethren.
More than any other, yes.
No, really. Talk about punching above your weight.
Right.
Come on.
Great.
Just look at a map. Sometimes just look at a map and look at this tiny little thing and then look at the reach. Unreal.
Somebody said, finish your point.
What up?
No, I was saying a philosopher wrote that just about every large industrial metropolitan city you go to, every large city, you'll hear music from 3 places: England, America, and Jamaica.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? It's not just the metropolitan places. When you go to these places that are, I don't know, more laid back and chill, like India, New Zealand, Tasmania. It's it's massive in Croatia, Poland, Italy. I think France has more reggae festivals than any other country. They have about 50 reggae festivals a year, brethren.
Unreal, yeah.
And Brazil has a shed load of sound systems. No, man, this reach is far and wide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
Yes, sir. No kidding, boy. Where are we up to now, sir?
Let's talk about your upcoming project, brand new project, Out of Sync.
How the fuck does everyone know all this stuff already?
How you mean? Supposed to be a secret.
I'll tell you what, it's not a reggae record.
How would you describe it?
Here what happened, right? So lockdown, COVID happened. And I don't know if you can tell, but I can't sit still. I got to keep doing shit. And I got together with a brother called Gaudi. If you don't know who Gaudi is, Google him, brethren. He's an incredible dude. He's an Anglo-Italian musician that's worked with the likes of, I don't know, Horace Andy, Steel Pulse. I can't even tell you, like a whole heap of people. And we happened to work on a remix of a dub remix of Equals MC Squared for a compilation that I did called, what was it called? Version Excursion.
Right.
I am plugging that shit because it's cool.
Yes.
Really cool. Anyway, so I got together with this brethren. We kind of became, we sonically connected. And we started to put some music together. Because I was thinking, funny thing about COVID, the whole lockdown thing is it gave you a lot of time to think, which was kind of cool. But the bad thing about it was that it gave you a lot of time to think. Yeah. Anyway, I decided to create a soundtrack to my thoughts. And it turned into an album. I mean, it wasn't intended. I mean, I'm not looking to switch lanes. I'm 66 years old right now, right? So I'm not looking really to go out there and compete with anybody. I just did the thing as it's a creative venture, not a commercial venture.
Mhm.
And don't get me wrong, I hope people like it, but it ain't a reggae album. But if you've got ears for music, you'll hear the reggae all the way from the top to the bottom, but
Okay.
not as you know it, because it's just an inherent part of who I am. I'm black and British, and part of being black and British is the fact that, you know, I grew up with bass coming in this ear and pop music coming in this ear, and I liked it. And I guess this album is a reflection of what I am, black and British, brethren. And it's, I mean, what I can tell you, it's got people on it like Terry Hall from the Specials. He does a couple of tracks with me, and Holly Cook,
Nice. Yeah.
current UK Queen of Lovers Rock,
Yes.
and a brethren called Wayne Coyne from the Flaming Lips, who you might not be familiar with.
I
love
know
brother.
Flaming Lips. Yeah, that's great. Well, those are some excellent guests. Yeah.
Actually, the single comes out, I think, in about 3 weeks.
Okay.
The title track comes out in about 3 weeks.
And then maybe
So
sometime.
people like it. If they don't like it, fuck them. I mean, I did it for fun.
After all,
No,
you can
really,
say that at this level of your
I did it
career.
for fun. You know, you know what? Everything I've ever done, as long as it pleases me, that's the number one. I know it sounds kind of selfish, but that's what I'm about. And if it resonates with X amount of people, even better. But ultimately, it's about me. It is me.
Right, right. So first single coming out relatively soon, and then maybe sometime next year, more music.
The album, because of this vinyl delay shit,
Oh yeah.
the album ain't coming out till next spring.
Okay.
So will there be a tour to back up the album, sir?
Well, they're talking about that, but like I say, I'm not looking to switch lanes right now. So the idea of sitting in the back of transit vans and sharing hotel rooms ain't for Dunlets right now. I'm past that shit, man.
Understood.
But man, that's how people are gonna hear it. That's the way it's done, man.
No, you know what? I mean, if it connects with X amount of people and they want it, I'm sure I'll work something out. But I can't go backwards.
Understood.
You know.
Understood. You mentioned them earlier, and you just referenced kind of schlepping it on tour. A band that has done that both here in the U.S. and overseas, which I know that you have worked with some, the Agrolites, LA-based.
Hey, Jesse,
friends of ours, Jesse. We actually have just
wicked voice. Bridging on the keyboard. He's killer.
Roger Rivas. Yeah, Roger. We just interviewed Jesse. Jesse the barber actually cuts my hair.
Okay, wicked.
The barber now. Yeah, but talk about
Thunder Fist. There's a track I keep playing on my radio show from way back in the day. I think it's called Thunder Fist. Yes. Anyway, sorry. Yes.
No. My question was, I know that you've done a little work with them when they've toured over there. You've done some shows, but talk about the Agrolites and maybe how.
You know who I like lately, and it's got fuck all to do with ska, but it's all part of the same thing as far as I can say. This lot out of Washington D.C., the Loving Paupers.
Oh yes, yeah.
I love that shit, man.
Great group, yes.
But that's the shit. I can't tell you. I really, that voice and those rhythms, and man, that's the lick.
Yeah, very kind of rocksteady.
And more a bit.
All right, I have
more.
to do my homework.
Yeah.
I have to do my homework.
Great.
Paupers. Yeah, respect.
Yes.
So, DL, you've had an incredible career. How can you inspire some of the youths now to become involved in music and to do some of the things that you've done, since you want to pass on perhaps the torch to the upcoming generation? Radio, you done everything magnificently.
Hold on a second. You're asking me you're asking me how we can put some more piranha in the tank? Whoa. You know something?
Or you tell them to run for the hills.
I'm not going to be so insulting to tell the youth. I don't know what the fuck's going on anymore. In fact, my new single is called Out of Sync, because the musical landscape has changed so much that, I don't, I mean, like, for instance, my way of navigating it is not wanting to be part of it. I think in the future, one of the major freedoms you can have is having new values. If you want to, oh man, the battery's running out on this. Phil.
We just about reached our destination, right?
Ross Clark, my battery's running out. 10% remaining. Bloody hell. Hello? Where are you? You there?
Yeah.
What was I saying? Quick, I want to say this. What was I saying?
We're not sure where the music is headed.
The music's good. No, there's music. A whole heap of things going out there, man. You just got to make sure your bullshit detector's finely tuned.
Yeah.
There's always something going on. Trust me.
Right.
Especially reggae. Reggae's alive and fucking kicking. And but that's not what you asked me. You asked me about advice for the youth.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think it's all about new values. Yeah. Fuck MTV and all these red carpet things. You know, you got to find these spaces that are happening, and they're not as big as they used to be. But it's not about the volume, man. It's about the quality of the people that you're interacting with. Right. And I know that there's a tribe out there of like-minded people that are touched by bass, who are connected by bass, and that bass connects us to the planet. And I'm good with that. And I think if you're good with that, if you're looking to be some big superstar, you're going to have problems. I think if you can make a living out of doing something you enjoy and hold your head up, you are a winner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also, you know, bring something to the table, man. Don't be bringing ego and makeup. You know, the bass is really valuable. So, you know, if you're going to occupy it, fucking justify it.
True.
You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're clogging up space that somebody that is trying to say something could be using, you know?
Do you feel...
Go on.
Along those lines, do you feel that modern music is as rebellious as it used to be?
Oh, yeah, there's shit going on all over the place. Again, it just depends where you're looking. There's angry people all over the place, man. But if you're looking at America, I mean, I think America and England generally has had its day of being the kingmaker. You know, technology is now allowing people to express themselves. All they need is a good idea and the motivation. You might not reach millions, but it ain't about reaching millions. I think if you can turn on the brethren next door, that's a start.
Yes,
excellent point, man. Excellent point. When you're in our destination,
realistic about what you can do, you know. And like I say, if you can make a buck doing something you enjoy, you're already a winner.
There you go.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've never desired to be rich, you know. I desire to be happy doing what I do and create shit that I'm proud of. And I think I've done.
Happiness.
But if I were to guess intelligently, I don't think your pocket's empty unless it has some deep hole and the money drop out. Considering all the things.
You know what? Because I keep having good ideas, I survive. I survive on my ideas.
Right. Yeah. So the Southland is massively excited to receive and see you next Tuesday the 1st. The Grammy Museum will be hosting an exclusive screening of Rebel Dread. Followed by a party. What can the people expect?
Oh, Ross. Well, apparently an interesting movie. So they tell me. I've only seen the film once. I can't watch the fucking thing because it makes me feel like I'm dead. We've run out of my laptop's run out of battery, brethren.
All right, sir.
We got it.
No, we're good. Hey, Don, we're going to see you next week. Thank you so much for everything.
We've got it though, right?
Yes, man.
We've got it.
All right, brethren. Listen. Thanks. That was actually fun.
Yeah, big love.
It's only because I just had 2 Jack Daniels and Cokes and a big split.
You enjoy the rest of your stay in Los Angeles. We'll see you Tuesday night.
Thank you for your time. Make sure you say hello.
We will. We're coming to the event, man.
Yeah, we will see you there. And thank you so much. And following the Grammy Museum event is a special after party.
Yes, sir.
Punky Reggae Party hosted by DJ
our good
Boss
friend
Harmony.
Boss Harms. Boss Harmony from the Dub Club.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would have done it if I could afford the bloody work permit.
Oh.
We will see you
and
there.
I'd love to hear you mix. So you have to come back next year. All right, Don.
Yes.
All right, Bridget, respect.
Yeah,
yes,
we
sir.
want to thank everyone for taking the time to watch and listen to this interview series. Please subscribe.